So thanks for having me. I'm your friendly federal bureaucrat, local, like the accent, here to tell you about our Medicaid program, your Medicaid program, and what we've done with AWS. But before I get to that, in order for you to really understand this story, I want to make sure everybody has a little bit of information about Medicaid. This probably won't make you popular at your next dinner party when you share these fun facts, but it'll make me feel better that you know what I'm talking about. Medicaid covers 74 million Americans in health insurance. 74 million, that's more than Medicare. See, fun fact. It covers more than half of all births in the United States and more than half of long-term care for elderly and disabled. So it's clearly a huge payer. And it's mostly children, actually, when you add up all of the numbers. We cover a lot of children. So Medicaid is federally funded for the most part. There's some state match, but it's really state administered. So it's like 51 little Medicares, really, because those states have a lot of flexibility. But that doesn't mean that at a national level, we don't want to be able to answer questions like, so how many of those pregnant women actually got the normal routine of prenatal care? Or where are people going to access behavioral health services? How many people are getting opioid treatment? Those are good questions. Kind of hard to answer when you're looking at 51 separate programs. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we decided to up our game on the kind of data that we collect from and with states to be able to understand these trends across the Medicaid program nationally. Because it's, I should have mentioned, also about $500 billion a year. So good to know, little metrics in there, right? So we increased our data, increased the number of variables, helped states, bring them in, and we were thinking all along, like, this is great, these are the questions we can answer, and this is what we're going to do. And as we started to do the federal bill, that federal catcher's mitt, we started to think about the size and scale of the data. I mean, seriously, just California alone would probably jam up our data centers, right? And we knew that this wasn't data just for data collection's sake. This was data to use. We wanted to be able to answer those questions and to have a data-driven culture. And you don't get a data-driven culture if the blue circle of death comes up and you wait and you wait and you wait and you wait for that query, right? You've lost your people. Because most of the people I'm trying to bring into this culture are not data wonks and data scientists. Most of them are policy people. So performance was really important, and not competing against everything else that CMS does and has in its bandwidth. And size and scalability was really important because the data is cumulative. We weren't building just for now, we're building from 4 years from now. So just to give you a sense, we have about 72 terabytes of data, and we're bringing in 5 more years of California right now, historic data. So just California alone is 900 million records a month. So I just wanted you to think about how fast we're going to get to a crazy amount of scale, and that we can't have any compromise in that ability to answer the questions, right? That's the point. Who's getting prenatal care? How many kids are getting vaccinated? Where do we have access issues? What's the treatment patterns? What are our highest cost drugs? Important questions. So we had, at this stage, a Silicon Valley startup firm working with us. See, it can happen, government and Silicon Valley startups, it can happen. And they said, natively, like in their initial proposal, we can build this for you. This is kind of easy. This is a mosquito bite for like the Google people, right, in terms of how much data. But we have to do it in the cloud. Well, CMS had done a little bit of stuff in the cloud with AWS, but never with personal health information. So here I come with my security team trying to convince them that we should be the first to put 74 million Americans' data in the cloud for performance, for use, and I didn't have any concerns about security because I knew about all my other federal peers, DOD, many others who had gone ahead of us. But it was still an uphill battle. We still have a lot of course, important high security requirements, and because it was the first time at my agency, there was a lot of trepidation. So that was fun. But we got through that, and now we actually have it up, and now it's considered a landmark, and others are moving to the cloud with their data at CMS, regardless of whether it's PII or PHI. And our infrastructure itself, supported with some of the vendors I saw as I walked through there, Databricks and so forth, and we're using Amazon Redshift. Part of that infrastructure now, we have other federal agencies coming to check it out, and to say, how do you do that, and how did you produce it? Because it's this constant influx of very complex data from, as I said, 51 different paths that we did try to get them to a single data dictionary, which is like matchmaking times 51. And we brought them all in, and every time we ingest that data, it has to go through very complex business rules to make sure that the data has some sense to it. And also flagging things that we may need to look into. So it's quite a big enterprise, but it's already producing. So we've already shared the data with our oversight bodies, like the Congressional Budget Office, and MACPAC, which oversees Medicaid from the congressional perspective, and with the US Census. We're looking at it already for fraud and abuse for those Medicare and Medicaid participating providers, having an impossible day where they saw 40 patients on each program, that kind of silliness. And we've given the data to a technical experts panel to really dig in and understand states' data quality. Because to be clear, what we've built with AWS is an operational data set. It's not academics. We're not going to this isn't clinical trials, not dissing those things, but this is an operational data set. We need to use it as it comes in, and it will never be perfect. I tell people that all the time. I know it's a downer, but this data set will never be perfect because it's real, and that's how healthcare data is. People submit claims, and they argue with the payer about that amount, and it goes back and forth, and it's a while before you get that final claim. And in Medicaid, we can have retroactive eligibility back 90 days, so people's start date isn't exactly their application date. It can be messy. State systems have problems or go up and down, the managed care plans change. But if we have real transparency into what is and is not there, then we can tell you what to look for. So now you're informed consumers with that data. So what AWS also allows us to do, besides running all those tools and edits so that we can see the good, the bad, and the ugly, it also lets us share the data in a more creative way. I mean, this is, as I said, massive amounts of data. It's not like I can put it on a thumb drive or just post it on cms.gov. There need to be ways that we can share it more creatively with our partners. And so we are exploring many options, but one of the ones that I find most exciting is the peer-to-peer. There are other federal agencies who also use AWS and also need this information. That would be a lot easier for me. Can we push things into S3 and have people do downloads? There's a lot of options for us. So again, it's all about performance and use. And I'm happy about the storage. I like the pay-as-you-go. I used to have to pay a lot of money for database space that I never actually used. That's not fun. So that does help. It does sometimes challenge you in predictive budgeting, but we're working on it. But really for us, and back to that original company, for them it was a no-brainer. That was part of our solution. And there were so many FedRAMP-approved products that we could integrate with all our business intelligence tools. They were sold. We got our security people sold, and now we're working on the data-driven culture and getting people to use the data and ask those questions and understand the quality of the data as well as an ongoing operation. I have the privilege of serving the Medicaid program and leading our data and IT work. And this project that I was talking to you about, the Medicaid data, is just the first of many. We're building all of our other systems in the AWS cloud as well, because ultimately we would like to have a shared data model where we can move all of those pieces across. So we've made that cloud commitment. Thank you, ma'am. And we look forward to the ongoing partnership. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.